What happens when the woman they thought was too sweet to snap decides her dignity is worth more than the applause they trade her name for? The lights on the view stage felt warmer than usual, that careful warmth that made forced laughter sound like truth. Zendaya sat at the end of the table, her hands resting in her lap, her posture easy but her eyes watchful. She'd come to talk about her new film, about using her platform to lift people who don't get a seat at the table. But down the row, Joy Behar tapped her mug, her grin stretching a fraction too wide. Her cue cards sat stacked beside her like they held more than notes. They held the cracks she wanted to pry open for a clip that would run everywhere by lunchtime. The audience clapped on cue, but the hush behind it said what they really wanted, to see if Zendaya would break for the bait. And somewhere behind the cameras, that crack was already waiting for its moment. Joy Behar flipped her cue card over with a snap that made the polite applause fizzle out too soon. She leaned in, her voice wrapped in that fake warmth that always came before the knife. Zendaya, you're the golden girl, right? Always saying the right thing, always so careful. But some people think you're just another celebrity who talks big about change, but stays silent when it really matters. A few uneasy laughs slipped through the audience, but they didn't last. Zendaya didn't flinch. She sat a little straighter, her voice calm enough to hush the stage. I never claimed to be perfect, Joy. I just try to use my platform to tell the truth when it's mine to tell. Sunny Hostin's pen tapped once, then stilled. Whoopi stared at her folded hands, not moving an inch. Joy smirked, leaning closer. So what truth are you telling, really? Because some people say your silence makes you complicit. That all this sweet talk about lifting people up is just for show. A ripple of rolled through the front row, the hush snapping tight around the table. Zendaya's eyes narrowed. Not angry, just clear. It's easy to talk about someone else's silence when you've made a career out of turning people's stories into your headline. Joy's grin faltered for half a heartbeat. The audience leaned in, phones raised. And in that frozen hush, everyone knew Zendaya wasn't here to play their villain. Joy Behar's grin twitched at the corners, but she pushed ahead, her tone sharpening like she needed the next jab to land. She tapped her mug twice, the hollow sound echoing under the lights. Oh, so now you're calling me the villain? Zendaya, you've made millions playing parts. Maybe you're just good at pretending to care. A soft gasp slipped through the audience, a crack they hadn't expected to open this wide. Zendaya didn't flinch. She folded her hands neatly in her lap, her voice even, each word landing like a stone in a pond that couldn't hide the ripples. Pretending? I don't sit here poking at people's lives just to sell a moment. I don't twist their truth to keep my name trending. Sunny Hostin shifted in her chair, her pen frozen halfway to her notes. Whoopi stayed perfectly still, her lips pressed tight. Joy forced a brittle laugh, her eyes darting down the table. Oh, please. You celebrities always want to act righteous until someone actually calls you out. Zendaya leaned in, her calm sharp enough to slice the hush in two. There's a difference between a real question and bait, Joy. And everyone in this room knows which one you're asking. A ripple of rolled through the back row, phones lifted higher. The hush didn't budge. And in that thick quiet, it was clear Zendaya's next line was going to split the table for good. Joy Behar's laugh came out thin now, the forced edge cracking around the hush that pressed tighter than the studio lights. She shifted in her seat, eyes darting to the producers just off camera, but no one moved to save her. She leaned in, her tone dripping with that smug bite she always used when the mask slipped. So you're saying I'm fake? That I don't really care about the truth? Zendaya's shoulders rose and fell, her calm steady enough to make the grin slip right off Joy's face. I'm saying you don't get to poke at people's silence and call it honesty when you've made a living spinning that silence into your headline. Sunny Hostin's pen tapped once, then stopped. Whoopi kept her eyes down, her hands folded so tight her knuckles turned white. Joy scoffed, waving her hand. Oh, come on. People see through this sweet act of yours. You're just another Hollywood kid who wants the applause, but none of the cost. A sharp gasp rolled through the front row. Not scandal, just that slow that always shows up when the truth hits where no grin can hide it. Zendaya leaned forward, her eyes locked on Joy's, her tone soft enough to hush the whole room. No, Joy. I'm someone who knows when the cost is my dignity, and I won't sell that for your applause sign. Joy's mug rattled against the glass table, the mask gone for good. The audience leaned in, phones raised, the hush now too tight to spin. And in that silence, Zendaya's next move felt bigger than the clip Joy thought she'd get. Joy Behar's grin was gone now, replaced by that pinched, restless look she wore when the table turned on her before she could spin it back. She forced out a brittle chuckle, but the hush swallowed it whole. So that's it, huh? You're gonna play the victim? Storm off and make yourself look brave. Zendaya didn't flinch. She sat perfectly still, the calm in her voice sharper than any insult Joy could throw. No, Joy. I'm not a victim. I'm just done giving you something to twist into your next headline. A ripple of rolled through the audience, raw and real. Sunny Hostin's eyes flicked towards Zendaya, her pen resting dead on her notes. Whoopi didn't move at all. Joy leaned forward, desperate for a laugh that wouldn't come. Sweetheart, if you can't take a few questions, maybe you should stick to reading lines someone else writes for you. Zendaya's lips curved, not into a smile, but into that calm edge that makes the hush wrap tighter. Funny, that's what you're doing right now. Reading lines you wrote for me and hoping I'll play my part. The mug in Joy's hand rattled again as she opened her mouth, but no comeback found its way through the hush. Phones rose higher, catching the raw moment that no cutaway could smooth out. And in that frozen quiet, everyone knew Zendaya's next word would be the one that snapped the table clean in half. Joy Behar's fingers drummed so hard on her mug now that the quiet clink felt louder than any punchline she'd ever tried to land. She leaned in, her voice brittle, trying to claw back control she could feel slipping through her hands. So that's it. You're gonna walk out? Prove you're too soft for a real conversation. Zendaya didn't so much as blink. She pushed her chair back, just slightly, the hush pulling tight enough to make every eye in the studio snap to her. No, Joy. I'm proving I know exactly when a conversation stops being real and starts being your next clickbait. Whoopi's eyes flicked up, just for a moment, then dropped again to her folded hands. Sunny Hostin pressed her lips together, her pen frozen on the card in front of her. Joy tried one more swing, her laugh ringing false and hollow. Oh, please. You actors are all the same. You want the spotlight, but none of the heat. Zendaya stood, her posture steady, her voice so soft it cut through the hush like glass. Spotlights don't scare me, but watching someone twist my name for a cheap laugh does. And I won't stand here while you do it. A gasp cracked through the front row, raw and quiet, the kind that says they all knew this wasn't a meltdown. It was a line being drawn in stone. Joy's mug rattled one last time against the table, the grin gone for good. And in that silence, Zendaya's next step said what the room already knew. She was done. Zendaya stood tall, the hush wrapping around her like a shield no grin could pierce. She looked down the table, at Joy's forced smile that had cracked open, at Whoopi's eyes fixed on her lap, at Sunny Hostin's frozen pen hovering above blank notes no spin could save. Joy Behar forced out a last brittle laugh, desperate to grab the moment back. So that's it, huh? You're running away? That's your big stand. Zendaya's eyes locked on her, calm and steady, her words so soft they landed heavier than any shout ever could. No, Joy. I'm not running. I'm just done letting you twist my name for your applause. A ripple of raw spread through the audience. No fake claps, no polite giggles, just truth pressing the hush tighter than the lights overhead. Joy's fingers drummed the mug one last time, the mask slipping clean off. People will see this, you know. They'll say you couldn't handle the heat. Zendaya tilted her head, her voice a whisper that carried like a thunderclap. Let them. I'd rather walk away with my dignity than stay here while you auction it off. She stepped back from the table, the soft scrape of her chair louder than Joy's next insult could ever be. Whoopi's eyes lifted for just a second, enough to see the door Zendaya had just walked through for good. And when the clips spread everywhere, it wasn't Joy's question people replayed. It was Zendaya's last line echoing in every comment thread. I won't let you twist my name for your applause. And for once, the view didn't own the moment, the truth did.